I called my son's girlfriend daughter, and I'll never forget her reaction. My son's been dating Sydney for 2 years now. Before she first visited, he gave me one strict rule. Don't mention her mother or any family members. Something bad happened and she's completely cut off from them. I didn't ask for details. It wasn't my place. When I met Sydney, I genuinely liked her. She's thoughtful, respectful, and you can tell she loves my son. We bonded quickly despite only meeting a handful of times. Last week, they came to visit while I was working on my truck in the driveway. Just routine maintenance, oil change, checking tire pressure, basic stuff. Sydney wandered outside looking curious. "What are you doing?" I wiped my hands. "Just some basic upkeep. Keeps the truck running smooth." She watched for a minute, then admitted, "I don't know the first thing about cars. I've always just paid a mechanic for everything." I was surprised. "Even basic stuff like this?" She nodded, almost embarrassed. "Yeah, my dad never taught me, and after he passed, I just never learned. I can teach you a couple things if you want," I offered. "Save you some money. These basics aren't hard." Her face lit up. "Really? You wouldn't mind?" For the next 30 minutes, I showed her how to check tire pressure, find the oil dipstick, check fluid levels. She was a fast learner, asked good questions, wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. When she successfully checked the last tire on her own, I felt genuinely proud. I smiled, patted her shoulder, and without thinking said, "Well done, my daughter." The words just slipped out. It's what I always said to my son when he learned something new. But instantly, everything changed. Sydney's smile vanished. Her face went pale. Then her eyes filled with tears. Deep, gut-wrenching, sobbing. She dropped to her knees on the garage floor, wailing, full body shaking, curled up in a ball. I crouched down immediately. "Sydney, what's wrong?" But she couldn't respond. She was hyperventilating, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. I tried everything, rubbing her back, offering water, but nothing worked. My son came running out, face going from confused to panicked. "What happened?" "I don't know. We were just—" He didn't wait. He helped Sydney inside to his old bedroom. The door closed. I stood frozen in my driveway, completely lost. 2 hours passed. My son brought her dinner upstairs. Finally, around 9 p.m., he came down. His face was hard. "What did you say to her?" I explained everything. The car work. How I'd said, "Well done, my daughter," because I was proud. His face turned red. "Are you serious? I specifically told you not to mention her family." I didn't mention her family. I just said daughter because that's what you say when you're proud. It slipped out. "Well, you triggered something," he snapped. "She's having a complete breakdown upstairs. Can I apologize, please? I didn't mean to hurt her. Forget it. She's not ready to talk." He went back upstairs. I barely slept that night. 2 days of silence passed. Then my son called. "Can you come over? Sydney wants to talk." My stomach dropped. Of course. When I arrived, my son hugged me immediately. "I'm sorry for yelling. I should have handled that better. It's okay. I understand." "Sydney's in the bedroom. She wants to talk privately." I walked down the hall and knocked softly. Sydney was sitting on the bed, eyes red. She started apologizing immediately. "I'm so sorry for breaking down like that. I'm a grown woman. I should control my emotions better. I haven't had a meltdown like that in 3 years." I sat across from her. "You don't need to apologize. I'm sorry for hurting you." She took a shaky breath. "It's not your fault. You didn't know. I just need to explain." Then she told me everything. Her dad died her senior year of college. Her parents married young. Her mom was pregnant, both barely adults. Money was always tight. After her dad passed, she tried staying close to her mother. She'd visit regularly, usually with her boyfriend, until one afternoon when she showed up unannounced. She found her boyfriend in bed with her own mother. Sydney ran down the hallway, her sobs echoing through the house she grew up in. She stumbled down the basement stairs, the one place that still felt like her dad's sanctuary. But the door to his workshop was open, the lock broken. Inside, she found boxes labeled with dates, dozens of them, all from the last 2 years of his life. Sydney opened the first one and found surveillance equipment, photos, recordings, all documenting her mother and boyfriend together. The last item was a letter addressed to her dated the day before her father died that started with, "Sydney, if you're reading this, they've already killed me and you're next because you're the only heir left, and I'm writing this in case I don't make it through tomorrow. Your mother and Trent planned everything. The life insurance policy I took out 6 months ago for $2.5 million. They think I don't know, but I know everything." Sydney's hands trembled as she held the letter. The basement felt colder suddenly. She kept reading. "I installed cameras everywhere after I overheard them talking in the garage. October 15th. Your mother said my heart medication would be easy to tamper with. Trent laughed and said it would look natural. A man my age having a heart attack. No one would question it. Sydney's stomach turned. She looked at the date on the letter. October 29th. Her father died October 30th. I've documented everything. Videos, audio recordings, bank statements showing the money they've been moving. Your mother opened a secret account 3 months ago. Same week she convinced me to increase my life insurance. The evidence is all here, organized by date. Take it to Detective Morrison at the precinct. He's the only one I trust. The letter continued. Sydney, you're in danger. The policy names you as beneficiary if your mother dies within 5 years of my death. They know this. I heard them discussing it last week. Trent said accidents happen to young women all the time. Your mother didn't disagree. She just asked how long they'd have to wait to make it look unrelated. Sydney couldn't breathe. The basement walls felt like they were closing in. I'm changing my will tomorrow. Everything goes into a trust that releases to you on your 30th birthday. Your mother gets nothing. If something happens to me, she'll be furious and desperate. Stay away from her, Sydney. Get this evidence to Morrison immediately. Don't trust anyone else. Don't tell your mother you found this. Just disappear if you need to. Live your life somewhere she can't find you. I love you more than anything. You've always been the light of my life. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better. Dad. Sydney set the letter down with shaking hands. She went through the rest of the boxes methodically. Her father had been thorough. 19 thumb drives, each labeled with dates and descriptions. Audio recordings from hidden microphones. Her mother and Trent in the kitchen discussing how to spike his medication. Her mother on the phone with Trent talking about timing, making sure they had alibis. One video made Sydney's blood run cold. Her mother standing in the garage holding her father's pill organizer, carefully emptying capsules and replacing the contents with something else. Trent standing watch by the door. The timestamp read October 28th. 2 days before her father died. There were bank statements showing transfers to offshore accounts. Emails between her mother and Trent going back 3 years, long before her father got sick. They'd been planning this since Sydney was 19. The final folder contained a copy of the will her father filed the day before he died. Everything to Sydney in a trust managed by his lawyer, Garrett Walsh. Her mother was specifically excluded. A note attached explained that Walsh had the original and instructions to contact Sydney directly when she turned 30, bypassing her mother entirely. Sydney heard footsteps upstairs, her mother's voice calling her name, then Trent's lower voice joining in. They were both there, in her father's house. She grabbed the letter, shoved 3 thumb drives in her jacket pocket, and looked for another way out. The basement had a storm door leading to the backyard. She pushed it open as quietly as possible and climbed out into the afternoon sun. Her car was parked on the street. She walked around the side of the house, trying to look casual. Her mother appeared in the front window, saw her, waved. Sydney waved back, kept walking, got in her car, started the engine. Her mother came out onto the porch. Sydney, sweetie, where are you going? Just remembered I have class, Sydney called back. I'll text you later. She pulled away before her mother could respond. Drove straight to the police station. Asked for Detective Morrison. He was out. Expected back in an hour. Sydney sat in the parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed. Text from her mother. When are you coming back? We need to talk about something important. Another text. Trent and I have a surprise for you. Sydney's skin crawled. She didn't respond. Just sat there watching the station entrance. Finally, 40 minutes later, a silver sedan pulled in. A man in his 50s got out, wearing a badge on his belt. Sydney grabbed the evidence and approached him. Detective Morrison? He turned, looked at her with tired eyes. Yes? My name is Sydney Walsh. My father was Bennett Walsh. He told me to bring this to you. Morrison's expression changed immediately. Recognition, then concern. Sydney, your father and I were old friends. Come inside. They sat in an interrogation room. Sydney spread everything out on the table, the letter, the thumb drives, the copies of bank statements. Morrison read the letter twice, his jaw tightened. How long have you had this? He asked. I found it today, about 2 hours ago. I came straight here. He picked up one of the thumb drives. Your father called me 3 days before he died. Said he needed to talk to me about something important. We were supposed to meet for coffee that morning. He never showed up. Got the call about his death around noon. Sydney's chest tightened. He died that morning. I know. Morrison looked at the evidence. I had suspicions. The coroner ruled it a heart attack, but something felt off. Your father was healthy, took care of himself. Then suddenly he's dead and your mother is collecting life insurance money before the funeral is even over. What do we do? Sydney asked. Morrison stood up. First we preserve this evidence, then we watch these videos, and then we decide how to proceed. But Sydney, I need you to understand something. Your mother can't know you have this. Can't know you've talked to me. If your father was right about the threat to your life, We need to keep you safe. I already left. She saw me drive away. Where are you staying? With my boyfriend, Trent, but he's... Sydney stopped, realization hitting her. He's in on it. I can't go back there. Morrison nodded. Do you have somewhere else? Family? Friends? Sydney thought about it. Her roommate, Kelly. They'd been friends since freshman year. Kelly didn't know her mother well. Had never met Trent. I can stay with my roommate. Good. Don't tell your mother where you are. Don't answer her calls. I'll have an officer escort you to your boyfriend's place to get your things. You go in, grab what you need, and leave. Don't engage with him if he's there. Understood? Sydney nodded. She felt numb, like she was watching this happen to someone else. Morrison made some calls. 20 minutes later, she was following a patrol car to Trent's apartment. He wasn't home. She packed fast. Clothes, toiletries, laptop, important documents. Left her key on the counter. Wrote a note. We're done. Don't contact me. She crashed at Kelly's place that night. Told her she and Trent broke up. Didn't mention the rest. Kelly didn't push for details. Just made popcorn and put on a movie. Sydney couldn't focus. Her phone kept buzzing. Her mother calling. Texting. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Trent said you left him. What's going on? We need to talk. It's important. Sydney turned off her phone. Lay awake in Kelly's spare bedroom until sunrise, wondering if her father had felt this same fear. If he'd known those last few days that he was out of time. Morrison called the next morning on Kelly's phone. Can you come to the station? Sydney got there in 15 minutes. Morrison had coffee waiting. He looked like he hadn't slept either. I watched everything, he said. All 19 drives. Sydney, this is ironclad. Your father documented everything perfectly. We have them discussing the plan. We have video of your mother tampering with the medication. We have financial records showing motive. This is murder, premeditated, and conspiracy. What happens now? Now I take this to the district attorney. We get warrants, and we arrest your mother and Trent, but it takes time. Few days at least. In the meantime, you stay hidden. Stay with your friend. Don't go anywhere your mother might look for you. Sydney nodded. How long did he know? Morrison looked at her gently. Based on the recordings, your father first got suspicious about 8 months before he died. Hired a private investigator. Got confirmation 6 months out. Spent the last months of his life building this case. He knew exactly what he was doing, Sydney. He was protecting you the only way he could. Tears streamed down Sydney's face. He died trying to save me. He died making sure they'd pay for what they did. And they will. I promise you that. It took 4 days. 4 days of Sydney hiding in Kelly's apartment, jumping at every sound. 4 days of her mother's increasingly frantic messages. Where are you? People are asking about you. I'm worried sick. Please call me. On the 5th day, Morrison called. It's done. We arrested your mother and Trent this morning, both charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy. No bail. They're in custody. Sydney felt the breath leave her body. It's really over? The arrests are made. The trial will take time. But yes, they're not walking free. And Sydney, there's something else. Your father's lawyer, Garrett Walsh, he wants to meet with you. Your father left specific instructions for him to read the will once your mother was arrested. Sydney met Walsh that afternoon. He was an older man with kind eyes and a gentle manner. He spread papers across his desk. Your father was my closest friend, Walsh said. I've known you since you were born. What he did, documenting everything, coming to me with his will, he did it all for you. He wanted you taken care of. He slid a document toward her. The house is yours, free and clear. He paid off the mortgage last year. There's also a trust fund. Your father was more successful than he let on. He lived modestly, invested wisely. The trust currently holds $1.8 million. You get full access when you turn 30, but in the meantime, there's a monthly stipend to cover your living expenses. Sydney stared at the numbers. I don't understand. We were always struggling. Money was always tight. Walsh smiled sadly. Your father wanted you to understand the value of hard work, of living within your means. He didn't want you to grow up spoiled or entitled. But he made sure you'd be set for life. There's also a letter he left with me, to be read after your mother's arrest. He handed her an envelope. Sydney opened it with trembling hands. My beautiful daughter, if you're reading this, it means Morrison did his job and your mother is finally facing justice. I'm sorry I couldn't stay to see you grow into the amazing woman I know you'll become. I'm sorry I can't walk you down the aisle or meet my grandchildren. I'm sorry for all the moments I'll miss. But I'm not sorry for what I did. You are worth everything, Sydney. Every sacrifice, every risk, every moment I spent building this case instead of enjoying my last days. You are my greatest achievement, my proudest accomplishment. Live your life fully, love deeply, trust carefully, And know that your father loved you more than life itself. The house, the money, they're tools to help you build the life you deserve. But the real inheritance is this. You come from love, real love, the kind that protects and sacrifices and never gives up. Carry that with you always. I'll be watching over you, sweetheart. Forever, Dad. Sydney sat in Walsh's office and cried. For her father, for the years stolen from them, for the childhood she'd spent thinking money was tight when her father was quietly building her a future, for everything they'd never have. The trial took 8 months. Sydney attended every day, sat in the front row, watched her mother and Trent try to claim innocence, watched the prosecution present her father's evidence. Video after video, recording after recording. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. Her mother got life without parole. Trent got 35 years. Sydney moved into her father's house after it was released from evidence. Spent weeks going through his things, found more letters he'd written but never sent, telling her about his day, sharing advice, expressing his love. She found his journal from those last months, read about his fear, his determination, his love for her consuming every page. The garage became sacred space, where her father had worked on his case, where he'd spent countless hours making sure she'd be safe. She turned it into an office, finished her degree from there. That was 3 years ago. Sydney graduated college, started working as a counselor, helping families dealing with domestic violence and trauma, used her story, carefully, to help others. She met my son 2 years ago at a therapy conference. They connected over understanding loss, over knowing how complicated families can be, over both having to build themselves from painful pasts. She never talked about her mother, never mentioned that her mom was in prison or that her boyfriend had helped commit murder. She just said there was family trauma and she'd cut contact. My son respected that, told me to do the same. So when I called her daughter that day in my driveway, when I patted her shoulder and said it with pride and love, it broke something open in her. All that grief, all that longing for the father who'd loved her that much, who'd literally died protecting her. She told me all of this sitting on my son's bed, voice steady but tears streaming down her face. Your dad would be so proud of you, I said when she finished. What you've done with your life, how you've helped people. She nodded. I know, I can feel it sometimes. Like he's still here, still watching over me. And calling you daughter, I said carefully. That triggered all of this because my dad used to say it exactly like you did, Sydney finished. Well done, my daughter. Every time I accomplished something, every time I tried something new, it was his thing, and I haven't heard it since the day I found his letter. 3 years of missing that voice, that pride, and then you said it and it was like he was right there again. I took her hand. Sydney, I meant it. I'm proud of you, and I'd be honored if you'd let me say it again sometime. Not as a replacement for your dad. No one could replace him, but as someone who cares about you and sees how strong you are. She squeezed my hand. I'd like that. My son appeared in the doorway. He'd been listening. He came and sat next to Sydney, put his arm around her. You okay? She leaned into him. Yeah, I'm okay. We sat there for a while, not saying much, just being present. Later, they stayed for dinner. We talked about lighter things. Sydney asked me more about the truck, said she wanted to learn more basic maintenance. I showed her how to change a tire after we ate. She was focused, determined. When she finished and stood back to look at her work, I waited. Let her have the moment. Then I said it. Well done, my daughter. She smiled, tears in her eyes, but happy ones this time. Thanks, Dad. That name, Dad. It was the first time she'd called me that. My son raised his eyebrows but didn't comment. Sydney caught his expression and laughed a little. Is that okay? She asked me. I don't want to overstep or make it weird. It's more than okay, I told her honestly. It's an honor. Update 1. 3 months passed. Sydney became a regular at our house. Sunday dinners, help with car stuff. She'd call me sometimes asking about random maintenance questions or just to chat. My wife adored her, said she was the daughter we never had. My son proposed on a random Tuesday. No big production. Just asked her while they were cooking breakfast. She said yes immediately. Called us crying happy tears an hour later. Wedding planning started. Sydney didn't have family to invite. It was just going to be our side and her friends. She was fine with that. Said she'd made her peace with it. But during a fitting for her wedding dress, something happened. The shop owner asked about her mother. Standard question. Will your mother be joining us for the fitting? Sydney's face went carefully neutral. No, we're not in contact. The shop owner pushed. Oh, that's such a shame. Every bride needs her mother on her wedding day. You should reach out. Life's too short for family feuds. My wife, who'd come along for the fitting, stepped in. Sydney's family situation is complicated. Let's just focus on the dress. But Sydney had gone quiet, distant. She finished the fitting robotically, didn't engage with any of the dress talk. In the car afterward, my wife asked if she was okay. "People always assume," Sydney said softly. "They hear you don't talk to your parents and they think it's some petty argument, like you can just forgive and move on. They don't understand that some family members are dangerous. That cutting contact isn't mean, it's survival. You don't owe anyone explanations," my wife told her. "Your past is your business. Share what you want, when you want. The people who matter will understand." Sydney nodded but didn't look convinced. Over the next few weeks, the wedding planning got heavier for her. Every vendor asking about her parents, every tradition that involved family, father-daughter dance, mother-son dance, the assumption that both sides would be represented. My son started noticing. Sydney would shut down during planning sessions, get quiet and withdrawn. He asked me what to do. "Give her space, but let her know you're there," I suggested. "And maybe ask what she actually wants for the wedding. Strip away all the traditional expectations. What would make her happy?" He took that advice, sat down with Sydney one night and asked her directly, "What kind of wedding do you actually want? Not what we're supposed to do. What would make you happy?" Sydney thought about it. "Small," she finally said. "Really small. Just your family and a few of my close friends. Something low-key, maybe outdoors. Nothing that draws a lot of attention." "Why?" my son asked gently. Sydney hesitated, then said, "Because my mother is in prison. She's been there for 3 years. Life sentence. And I'm terrified she'll find out about the wedding somehow and try to ruin it. Or her lawyer will reach out. Or the press will get wind of it. Bennett Walsh's daughter getting married. They covered the trial. Some reporter might remember." My son took her hand. "Then we do it your way. Small, private, no social media posts. We'll keep it between us and the people we trust." They planned a wedding for 30 people. My backyard, early October. Sydney's friend Kelly as maid of honor. My nephew as best man. Simple ceremony, barbecue reception. Exactly what Sydney wanted. 2 weeks before the wedding, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Is this Frank Morrison?" A woman's voice, official sounding. "Yes. This is Linda Kowalski from Greenfield Correctional. I'm a social worker here. I need to speak with you about your son's fiancée, Sydney Walsh." My stomach dropped. "What about her?" "Her mother, Patricia Walsh, is an inmate here. She's recently learned about the engagement. She's requesting contact with Sydney. She's asked me to reach out on her behalf." "No," I said immediately. "Absolutely not. Sydney wants no contact with her mother. That's been made clear." "I understand," Linda said carefully. "But Patricia is quite insistent. She's making threats. Says if she can't attend the wedding or at least speak to Sydney, she'll make problems. Contact media, cause issues for the family. She can be very convincing. Her threats mean nothing. She's in prison. She can't do anything. She has access to mail, phone privileges. She's been writing letters. None have been delivered to Sydney, per Sydney's request for no contact. But if Patricia escalates, if she involves outside parties, media, lawyers, it could become complicated." I felt my blood pressure rising. "What are you asking me to do?" "I'm asking you to inform Sydney of the situation. Let her know her mother is aware of the wedding and is requesting contact. What Sydney does with that information is her choice, but she should know." I hung up and immediately called my son. Explained the situation. He went quiet. "We can't tell her," he finally said. "She's so happy right now, so excited. This would destroy her. But if her mother escalates and Sydney finds out we knew, then we deal with it then. But I'm not letting that woman ruin these next 2 weeks for Sydney. She's taken enough from her already." We decided to wait, not tell Sydney. Handle it if the mother actually did something. It felt like the right call to protect her. The wedding day was perfect. Sunny, warm, leaves just starting to turn. Sydney wore a simple white dress, flower crown in her hair. She looked radiant. The ceremony was short, sweet. Sydney's vows made everyone cry. She talked about finding family, about how love means showing up, about how my son had taught her it was safe to trust again. When they kissed, everyone cheered. The reception was exactly what Sydney wanted. Low-key, burgers and dogs on the grill, beer in coolers, kids running around, laughing and music and celebration. Sydney danced with my son to their song. Then she came and found me. "We're skipping the father-daughter dance tradition," she said. "But I was wondering if you'd dance with me anyway. Not as a replacement for my dad, just because I want to." "I'd be honored," I told her. We danced to an old James Taylor song Sydney picked. She was quiet at first. Then she said, "Thank you for being the dad I needed these past few months. For teaching me about cars. For letting me call you dad without making it weird. For giving me a place to belong." "You've always belonged," I said. From the moment we met you. Your family, Sydney. You always will be. She hugged me tight. I wish my real dad could have met you. He would have liked you. I wish I could have met him too. He raised an incredible daughter. The party wound down around 10. People started heading home. Sydney and my son were leaving for a long weekend camping trip for their honeymoon. Simple and perfect for them. They loaded up the car. Sydney hugged everyone goodbye. She seemed lighter than I'd ever seen her. Free. They drove off into the night. My wife and I cleaned up the backyard, took down lights, picked up trash. It had been a perfect day. My phone rang at midnight. Unknown number again. I answered. Frank Morrison. Different voice this time. Male. Official. Yes? This is Officer Chen with Greenfield Correctional. There's been an incident involving Patricia Walsh. She became violent this evening when she learned about her daughter's wedding. Attacked another inmate who made a comment about it. Patricia's been placed in isolation, but during processing she made specific threats against Sydney and your family. Threatened to, quote, make everyone pay for excluding her. We're documenting everything, but I wanted to make you aware. Is Sydney in danger? Patricia's in prison. She can't physically do anything, but she has phone privileges once she's out of isolation. She could make calls, harass people. We can restrict some of that, but not all. I'd recommend you inform your son and his wife. They may want to change phone numbers. Be cautious with social media. I thanked him and hung up, stood in my dark backyard, looked at where Sydney had danced just hours earlier. So happy, so free. My wife came outside. Who was that? I told her. She sank into a lawn chair. That poor girl. She can't even have one perfect day without that woman finding a way to taint it. She doesn't have to know, I said. Not tonight, not on her honeymoon. We'll tell them when they get back. Let her have this happiness for a few more days. We went to bed, but I didn't sleep. Kept thinking about Patricia Walsh in isolation. Planning ways to hurt her daughter, even from prison, even after everything she'd done. Some people don't know how to stop destroying the ones they're supposed to love. Update 2. My son and Sydney got back from their honeymoon 4 days later. Tanned and smiling. They came straight to our house from the road. Showed us pictures. Talked about hikes and campfires and stars. I waited until they'd eaten dinner. Then I asked Sydney to step outside with me. My son followed. He could tell something was wrong. Sydney, I said carefully, there's something you need to know. Your mother found out about the wedding. The light went out of her eyes immediately. How? I explained the calls, the social worker's outreach, the incident at the prison, Patricia's threats. Sydney listened without expression. When I finished, she just nodded. Okay, she said. Okay? My son repeated. Sydney, she's making threats. She's been making threats for 3 years, Sydney said quietly. From prison, from behind bars where she can't actually do anything, except run her mouth. This doesn't change anything. She could call people, harass them, make problems, I said. Sydney looked at me with tired eyes. She can try, but everyone who matters knows the truth. My friends know. Your family knows. My father's evidence put her away. She has no credibility, no power, just anger from a cell. She was right, but I still felt uneasy. What do you want to do? Nothing, Sydney said. I want to do nothing. I want to keep living my life, keep being happy. She doesn't get to take that from me. Not anymore. My son pulled her close. We should still be careful. Change numbers, maybe. Limit social media. I'll change my number, Sydney agreed. But I'm not hiding. I'm not living in fear of a woman who's locked up. That gives her too much power. Over the next few weeks, everything seemed fine. Sydney changed her phone number, blocked her mother's prison phone access through official channels, set up no contact orders through her lawyer. But small things started happening. Sydney's work email got flooded with spam. Someone created a fake Facebook profile using her name and started posting bizarre stuff. Nothing overtly harmful, just weird enough to be disturbing. Sydney reported it, got the fake account shut down, but another one popped up. Then another. It's her, Sydney said during dinner at our place. Or someone she's paying on the outside. She has money, the insurance payout before she was convicted. It's sitting in an account somewhere. She can use commissary funds to pay someone. Can you prove it? My wife asked. No, that's the genius of it. Just small annoyances. Nothing big enough to trigger serious investigation. Just enough to remind me she's out there, that she's thinking about me. My son was furious. This is harassment. There has to be something we can do. Sydney shook her head. We document everything. Save screenshots. Report it. But beyond that, we just keep living. That's the only way to win. A month later, Sydney got a letter. Not from her mother directly. From her mother's lawyer. Requesting a meeting to discuss estate matters. Sydney brought it to Garrett Walsh, her father's lawyer. He read it and frowned. There are no estate matters, Walsh said. Everything was settled years ago. Your mother has no claim to anything. This is just another attempt at contact. Should I respond? Sydney asked. Absolutely not. I'll respond on your behalf. Remind them that all contact attempts are violations of the no contact order, and I'll file a complaint with the Bar Association about this lawyer's tactics. Walsh handled it, but more letters came. Different lawyers, all claiming to represent Patricia Walsh, all requesting meetings or phone calls or mediation sessions, all phrased as urgent legal matters. Sydney stopped opening them, just forwarded them directly to Walsh. Let him handle everything, but it was wearing on her. I could see it, the tension in her shoulders, the way she checked her phone constantly. Looking for the next intrusion. Talk to me, I said one afternoon. She'd stopped by to help me winterize the lawnmower. Sydney was quiet for a minute. My therapist says my mother is trying to maintain control, that these little contacts, even through lawyers and fake accounts, they're her way of keeping me tethered to her, of reminding me she still exists. What do you want to do? I want her to disappear. I want to never think about her again, but she won't let me. She'll keep finding ways to reach out, to remind me, to try to pull me back into her orbit. So you don't let her, I said. You keep building your life. Keep focusing on what matters. Eventually she'll realize she's not getting the reaction she wants. Sydney nodded, but I could tell she wasn't convinced. 2 months later, Sydney found out she was pregnant. She and my son were thrilled, terrified but thrilled. They came to tell us the news on a Sunday afternoon. My wife cried happy tears, hugged Sydney tight, started planning nursery colors and baby showers. I congratulated them, told them they'd be great parents, but privately, I worried. Sydney had a baby on the way. Patricia Walsh had found out about the wedding. She'd find out about this too. And what then? Sydney's pregnancy was smooth, no complications. She worked until her 7th month, then took leave to prepare. My son painted the nursery. They took classes, read books, did everything first-time parents do. Sydney seemed genuinely happy. The harassment had slowed down, just occasional spam emails now, nothing major. It looked like Patricia Walsh had finally given up or lost interest. Then Sydney got a package, no return address, postmarked from a town 2 hours away. Inside was a baby blanket, hand-knitted, yellow and white, beautiful craftsmanship, and a note, unsigned. For my grandchild, can't wait to meet them. Sydney dropped the blanket like it was poison, called my son immediately. He came home from work, called me. We all sat in their living room staring at the blanket on the floor. She knows, Sydney whispered. How does she know? Social media? My son suggested. Maybe one of your friends posted something. Sydney shook her head. I made everyone promise not to post. We haven't told anyone except immediate family. Just your parents and Kelly. Medical records? I offered. Could someone at your doctor's office have leaked information? That's a federal crime, Sydney said, but she looked uncertain. We called Detective Morrison. He'd retired but stayed in touch with Sydney. He came over that evening, looked at the package, the blanket, the note. This is escalation, Morrison said seriously. She's not just harassing you anymore. She's targeting your child. This needs to be reported officially. Let me talk to some people. Morrison made calls. The next day, 2 detectives came to interview Sydney. They took the blanket as evidence, traced the postmark, found that the package had been mailed from a town near a minimum security facility where one of Patricia's former cellmates had recently been transferred. The theory was that Patricia had paid this ex-cellmate to mail the package, to gather information somehow, maybe through social media searches using names of Sydney's friends, maybe through public records if Sydney had registered for baby supplies at stores. The detectives couldn't prove it definitively, but they went to the prison, talked to Patricia, reminded her of the no-contact order, warned her that any further violations would result in loss of privileges and possible additional charges. Patricia, according to the detectives, just smiled, said she didn't know what they were talking about. She'd never sent any package, couldn't be held responsible for what other people chose to mail. Sydney went into labor on a Tuesday night, fast and intense. My son called us from the hospital at 2 in the morning. It's happening. She's asking for you. We got there by 3. Sydney was in between contractions when we arrived, grabbed my wife's hand. I'm scared, she admitted. Not of the birth, of what comes after, of her finding us, of her somehow getting to my baby. She won't, my wife promised. We'll protect you. We'll protect this baby. That woman will never get near your child. Sydney gave birth at 6:17 a.m. A girl, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, perfect in every way. They named her Bennett, after Sydney's father. When the nurse handed Bennett to Sydney, everything changed. Sydney looked at her daughter and something fierce came into her eyes. Something I'd never seen before. I'm going to end this, Sydney said quietly. I can't live like this anymore, waiting for her to intrude, waiting for the next package or call or threat. Bennett deserves better. She deserves a mother who's not constantly looking over her shoulder. What are you thinking? My son asked carefully. I want to face her, Sydney said. I want to go to that prison, look her in the eye, and tell her she lost. Tell her she has no power anymore, that I'm done being afraid. Morrison advised against it, said giving Patricia what she wanted, contact, attention, would only encourage her. Sydney didn't care. I'm not doing it for her, Sydney explained. I'm doing it for me. I need to see her, see what she's become, see that she's just a woman in a cell, nothing more, nothing less. The monster in my head is scarier than the reality. I need to face the reality. Against everyone's advice, Sydney arranged a visit, went through all the official channels, got approved, set a date for 3 weeks after Bennett was born. My son wanted to go with her. Sydney refused. This was something she needed to do alone, but she agreed to let Morrison accompany her to the prison, wait in the parking lot, be there when she came out. The night before the visit, Sydney came to our house, left Bennett with us, sat at our kitchen table looking more determined than scared. Thank you, she said, for everything, for being the parents I needed, for loving me like a daughter, for giving me a safe place to land. Always, I told her. No matter what happens tomorrow, you always have us. She nodded, looked at Bennett sleeping in my wife's arms. If something happens to me, nothing will happen, my wife interrupted. But if it does, Sydney continued, promise me you'll tell Bennett about my dad, about Bennett Walsh, about how he loved me, how he protected me, how he was everything a father should be. Don't let her only legacy be her grandmother's evil. Make sure she knows she came from love, too. We promised. Sydney left that night with her jaw set, ready to face her past, ready to end it once and for all. She called me the next morning from Morrison's car. We're pulling up to the prison. I'm going in. Be strong, I told her. Remember why you're doing this. I will, Sydney said. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. She hung up. I sat in my kitchen, waiting, praying, hoping this would bring her the closure she needed. Update 3. Sydney walked through the prison doors at 9:30 a.m. Security checked her, patted her down, took her phone, led her through a series of locked doors, each one clanging shut behind her. The visitation room was exactly what she expected. Gray walls, scratched plastic tables, guards stationed at regular intervals. She sat down at the assigned table, waited. Patricia Walsh entered 5 minutes later, shackles on her wrists and ankles, orange jumpsuit, hair grayer than Sydney remembered, face harder, but the eyes were the same, cold and calculating. They sat across from each other. Neither spoke at first. Patricia smiled slowly. Sydney, you look well. Motherhood suits you. Sydney kept her expression neutral. How did you know about the baby? I have friends, people on the outside who keep me informed. I like to know what my daughter is up to. I'm not your daughter, Sydney said flatly. I stopped being your daughter the day you murdered my father. Patricia's smile didn't waver. Such harsh words. The jury believed that story. Doesn't make it true. There's video evidence, audio recordings, your own voice planning it. Evidence can be manipulated. Your father was always good with technology. Who knows what he edited together? Sydney leaned forward. I came here to tell you something, and then I'm never coming back. You're going to stop contacting me. Stop sending packages. Stop having your friends harass me online. Stop everything. Patricia laughed. Or what? You'll report me? I'm in prison, dear. They can't do much more to me. Or I'll go to every media outlet that covered your trial, Sydney said calmly. I'll tell them about the harassment, the letters, the packages, the threats against my infant daughter. I'll make you famous again. Patricia Walsh, the mother who killed her husband and is now stalking her own daughter and grandchild from prison. They'll run that story for weeks. Patricia's smile faltered slightly. You wouldn't. Try me, Sydney said. I've stayed quiet for 3 years, kept to myself, let you rot here in obscurity. But if you can't leave me alone, if you can't let me live in peace, then I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. I'll do interviews, write a book, whatever it takes to make your life here as miserable as possible. You're bluffing. Am I? Sydney pulled out a paper from her pocket, unfolded it. I've already been contacted by 3 publishers interested in my story, 2 documentary filmmakers, 4 podcasts. I've said no to all of them, but I have their contact information. I could have deals signed by next week. Patricia's jaw clenched. That would require you to relive everything, to talk about that day, to expose your pain publicly. I've made peace with my pain, Sydney said. I've done the therapy, the work. I'm not afraid to talk about what you did anymore. The question is, are you ready for everyone here to know? The other inmates? The guards? People in prison don't like child killers. They especially don't like people who murdered their partners. I wonder how safe you'll be once your story goes viral again." Patricia leaned back. For the first time, she looked uncertain. "You've thought this through. I've had 3 years to think. 3 years of you trying to maintain control, trying to keep your hooks in me. It ends today. You have 2 choices. Leave me and my family alone completely. No more letters, packages, or contact attempts through any channels. Or I go public with everything. Every detail. Every piece of harassment. Every threat. Your choice." They stared at each other across the table. Finally, Patricia spoke. "And if I agree to leave you alone, you'll do what?" "I'll live my life. You'll live yours. Behind bars where you belong. We'll never speak again. You'll become nothing to me. A footnote. A cautionary tale I might tell Bennett someday about why you choose your partner carefully." Patricia's eyes flickered at Bennett's name. "You named her after him?" "Yes," Sydney said simply. "And she'll grow up knowing what kind of man her grandfather was, how he loved and protected his daughter, how he sacrificed everything to keep her safe. That's the legacy that matters, not yours." Patricia was quiet for a long moment. "You've become hard." "I've become strong," Sydney corrected. "There's a difference. Now give me your answer. Leave us alone or deal with the consequences." Patricia looked around the visitation room. At the guards. The other inmates visiting with their families. At the gray walls that would be her home until she died. When she looked back at Sydney, something had shifted in her face. Acceptance, maybe. Or defeat. "Fine," she said. "I'll stop. No more contact." "No more contact through anyone," Sydney emphasized. "No lawyers with fake estate matters. No ex-cellmates sending packages. No online harassment. Nothing." "I understand." Sydney stood up. "Good. If you break this agreement, if I get even one suspicious email, I'm going to every reporter I can find. Are we clear?" Patricia nodded. "We're clear." Sydney walked toward the exit, didn't look back. The guard let her through the locked door. Then another. Each one taking her further from Patricia, further from that chapter of her life. Morrison was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car. He straightened up when Sydney emerged. "How'd it go?" he asked. Sydney took a deep breath of free air. "It's done. Really done." They drove back in comfortable silence. Morrison didn't push for details. Just let Sydney process. When they got to our house, Sydney practically ran to the door. My wife met her with Bennett. Sydney took her daughter and held her close, buried her face in Bennett's tiny head and just breathed. "It's over," she said. I looked her in the eye and ended it. Over the next few months, nothing happened. No packages, no emails, no harassment. Patricia Walsh kept her word. Sydney's life became peaceful in a way it hadn't been since her father died. She went back to work part-time, brought Bennett to visit us twice a week. My wife would babysit while Sydney did therapy sessions with clients. Bennett became the center of all our lives. Sydney was good at motherhood, patient and attentive, but she also set boundaries, didn't hover. Let Bennett explore and make small mistakes. She was determined to raise her daughter differently than she'd been raised, with security and love, but also truth. On Bennett's first birthday, Sydney threw a small party in our backyard. Same spot as the wedding, same group of people, Kelly and a few other friends, my extended family, about 20 people total. Bennett sat in her high chair smashing cake into her face. Everyone laughed and took photos. It was perfectly ordinary, perfectly happy. Sydney pulled me aside at one point. "I want to thank you again for everything this year, for being here, for being the dad I needed while I figured out how to be a mom. You've been a great mom from day one," I told her. "I'm trying," Sydney said. "Some days are easier than others. I worry sometimes that I'm going to mess her up, pass on my trauma, make her afraid of the world." "You won't," I said firmly. "You know what real love looks like because your father showed you. You know what protection means because he protected you. Bennett has that same foundation now. You've given her that." Sydney smiled. "My dad would have loved her so much." "He does," I said. "Wherever he is, he sees her. He sees how amazing you've become, how you survived and healed and built this beautiful life." Sydney's eyes filled with tears. "Happy ones. I wish he could meet you. You would have been friends." "I think so too." That night, after everyone left, Sydney helped us clean up. Bennett had fallen asleep in her car seat. My son carried her to the car carefully. Sydney lingered at our front door. This feels like a full circle moment somehow. Bennett's first birthday in the same place we got married. The same place I learned to trust that good parents exist. "You'll have many more moments like this," my wife said. "Many more birthdays and celebrations. This is just the beginning." Sydney hugged us both. "I know, and I'm not afraid anymore. I used to think my mother would always cast this shadow, that I'd never escape her, but I did, and Bennett will grow up never knowing that shadow. She'll just know love and safety and family. That's the best revenge, I said. Living well, being happy, raising your daughter in light instead of darkness. Sydney nodded. My father would have said the same thing. They left that night. Sydney buckled Bennett into her car seat, kissed her sleeping head, got in the passenger seat next to my son. They waved as they pulled away. I stood in my driveway, same spot where 3 years ago Sydney had collapsed, sobbing. Same spot where I'd accidentally triggered her trauma by calling her daughter. But everything was different now. Sydney wasn't broken anymore, wasn't running, wasn't hiding. She'd faced her past, confronted her mother, set boundaries, and now she was free.